The trap wasn't meant for her. It was a cold, quiet night in the forest. The only sound was the wind moving through the trees. A young man named Evan walked carefully, carrying tools and a small box. He was not a hunter, but he needed food. Life in the forest was hard. He had lived alone for 2 years now, far from the city. No people, no traffic. Just trees, animals, and silence. That's how he liked it. But he still needed to eat. Tonight, he was setting a trap. Just a simple one. A net made of steel wires hanging from a branch. It would fall if anything walked through the sensor beam. It was made for rabbits or deer. Evan tied the final rope, checked the sensor, and stepped back. It was ready. He walked back to his cabin, made tea, and sat near the window. The stars were bright tonight. Too bright. He frowned. Something moved in the sky, fast, glowing red and blue. A small object was falling. It left a trail of smoke and sparks behind it. A meteor. Evan whispered. But it didn't fall like a rock. It changed direction, like it was flying. Then it vanished behind the trees with a distant boom. Evan stood up fast. His hands were shaking. That was no meteor. 10 minutes later, Evan had grabbed his flashlight and a thick jacket. He followed the smoke through the forest. The air smelled like burnt metal. Birds flew away from the trees, and then he heard a click. It was his trap. Evan ran toward it. When he arrived, his eyes went wide. This was not a deer. Not even close. Caught inside the steel net, glowing softly under the moonlight, was a girl. She looked human, but not exactly. Her skin was light blue, like the color of ice. Her hair was white and shining. She wore a strange silver suit, half burnt from the crash. Her eyes were big, and they glowed faint green. She looked at Evan with fear. Real fear. She started to scream, but her voice was different. Not like any language Evan had heard. It sounded like music and static at the same time. Evan stepped back. He raised his hands. "I won't hurt you," he said slowly. "You're not from here, are you?" The girl stared at him. Her eyes scanned his face. Then she said one word. It sounded like Zarnok. He had no idea what it meant. But then she pointed at him, eyes wide, and made a motion like she was eating something. Then she pointed at herself and stepped back. Evan finally understood. She thought he had trapped her to eat her. He shook his head fast. "No, I'm not going to eat you," he said. She didn't understand. She looked terrified. Evan quickly moved to the net and cut the ropes. The net dropped, and the girl hit the ground with a soft cry. She tried to run, but her leg was hurt. She fell. Evan ran to her. She crawled away, but he stayed at a safe distance and said, "I won't touch you. You're hurt. Let me help." The girl looked at her leg. It was bleeding. Not red, but a strange glowing blue liquid came out. She stared at it, then at Evan. He slowly took off his jacket and placed it on the ground, then stepped back. "Take it. It's warm," he said softly. The girl reached for it, slowly. She wrapped herself in it, still watching him carefully. Then something buzzed on her wrist. She pressed a small button on a device there, and a female voice began speaking in English. Language detected. Translation active. She looked at Evan. Then the voice from the device repeated her words. "Please don't eat me." Evan's eyes went wide. "I told you, I'm not going to eat you." The device translated, "You, ... not hunter." "No, I'm Evan. I live here. You crashed." The girl nodded slowly. She was still shaking. Then she said, "My name is Aya. I ran away." "From what?" Evan asked. Aya looked up at the sky. "From ... Them. Suddenly, a low hum came from the trees behind them. Aya's eyes went wide with fear. She grabbed Evan's arm tightly. "They are coming. Please. Don't let them find me." Evan looked into the trees. Nothing was there. Yet, but he believed her. He held her hand and whispered, "Come with me." They disappeared into the forest together as the sound behind them grew louder. "She has a translator and secrets." Evan ran through the forest, branches hitting his face, boots sliding on wet ground. Behind him, Aya limped fast, holding onto his jacket for balance. The strange humming sound grew louder. Wasn't from Earth. It didn't sound like any machine Evan had ever heard. "Almost there," Evan said, breathless. They reached his cabin, a small wooden shelter hidden behind thick trees. He opened the door fast and pulled her inside. She stumbled, collapsed on the floor, and winced in pain. Evan locked the door, shut all the windows, and turned off the lights. Darkness, only the soft green glow from Aya's eyes lit the room. 10 minutes passed. The hum faded. Silence again. Aya still sat on the floor, breathing hard. Evan knelt beside her and turned on a small flashlight. He saw her leg, still glowing blue. The same strange fluid slowly leaking from a small wound. "Let me clean it," he said. She didn't answer, but she didn't stop him either. He took water, cloth, and some bandages. As he cleaned her wound, she watched him quietly. Then her wrist device blinked again. The voice returned. "You are not like others. I hope that's a good thing." Evan replied with a small smile. Aya didn't smile back. She tapped her wrist device again. A hologram appeared in the air, spinning softly. It showed a large silver spaceship floating over a green planet, filled with trees and oceans. "My home," she said. Evan's eyes widened. "That's beautiful." Then, the hologram shifted. The green planet turned red. Smoke, explosions, ships falling from the sky. Cities burning. Aya lowered her head. "They took everything. I escaped." "Who?" Evan asked. She looked at him with those glowing eyes. "They call themselves the Cleaners. They remove anything that's not useful to their empire. Planets, people, cultures." Evan stood up, shocked. "You mean ... They're real? Aliens who invade other worlds?" She nodded. "Earth is next." Evan walked to the window and peeked outside. Nothing, just trees and night. But he didn't feel safe anymore. "You crashed here by accident?" he asked. Why hesitated. "I was not supposed to come here. My ship was damaged. I was running from them. My pod fell off course. I thought I would die." "You almost did," Evan said softly. She looked at him. For the first time, her expression changed. Less fear, more ... curiosity. A sudden beep echoed from her wrist device. Aya quickly shut off the hologram. "They're scanning here, now?" Evan asked. She nodded. "They can sense advanced tech. If I use too much, they find me." Evan sat down across from her. "Okay, then don't use it. Stay here. Rest. Hide." Aya looked confused. "Why help me? You're hurt." "You're not trying to hurt me. That's enough for me." She stared at him for a few seconds. "You single quotes, strange for a human." He chuckled. "Yeah, I get that a lot." Later that night, Aya lay on the old couch, wrapped in a blanket. Evan sat at the table, flipping through an old notebook. He had questions too many. He looked at her and asked, "Aya, what happens if they find you?" She turned her head slowly. "If they find me, they'll take me, and then destroy this place. They erase evidence." Evan felt a chill run down his back. He whispered, "Are they already on Earth?" Aya looked away. Some, not many. But they single quotes hiding. Blending in like spies. Evan asked. She nodded. Some look like you, act like you, but they're not you. A deep silence fell in the room. Then Aya sat up. Her voice was quieter now. Evan, I was not just a passenger. I'm not just a girl. He raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Aya reached into a hidden pocket in her suit. She pulled out a small crystal, glowing with white light. This is a map, a data crystal. It holds coordinates of safe planets, hidden zones, rebel camps. Evan leaned closer. So you've single quotes important. Too important, she whispered. That's why they want me alive, and why they'll destroy anything around me. He stared at the crystal, then at her. Are they coming tonight? Aya didn't answer. She didn't have to. Outside, a low buzz returned, distant, but steady. Evan stood slowly, picked up the lantern and said, Then we better hide that thing. And tomorrow, we figure out how to get you far away from here. Aya finally spoke. Softer than before. You're risking everything. Evan smiled sadly. Yeah, but maybe this time, it's worth it. The hunter becomes the hunted. The morning was quiet, too quiet. Evan stepped outside his cabin with a steaming mug of tea. Birds were not singing. The air felt strange, like the forest was holding its breath. Behind him, inside the cabin, Aya was still sleeping. Her leg was healing fast. Strange blue lines had begun to close the wound overnight. Evan had never seen anything like it. He looked at the trees. No wind, no sound, no peace. Something was off. Back inside, Aya sat up slowly. She had dark rings under her eyes. I didn't sleep. I was listening. Evan turned to her. Listening to what? Frequencies. I can feel energy. Something is watching. He placed his tea on the table and grabbed his binoculars. Let me check around. I'll be back soon. Aya stood. No, I'm coming with you. You're still hurt, and you're not trained. If something happens, you'll need me. Evan hesitated, then nodded. All right, let's move. They walked through the forest, keeping low. Aya had wrapped her glowing skin with a hoodie and scarf. Her silver suit was hidden under one of Evan's old coats. As they reached a small hill near the forest edge, Evan lifted the binoculars. His jaw tightened. A black van sat near the main road. Two men stood beside it, not moving, wearing all black. No logos, no smiles. Just silence. Government, he whispered. Aya looked, too. No worse. Look at their faces. He zoomed in. The faces looked ... wrong, like masks, stretched too tight over bone. No expression, no blinking. Are they human? Evan asked. Aya shook her head. They are called skinwalkers. They copy. I thought they were a story. Suddenly, a third man stepped out of the van. Tall, wearing a long coat. His skin looked normal, but his eyes were pure silver. No pupils. I took a sharp breath. That's a seeker. Evan didn't like the sound of that. What's a seeker? They track targets like me. They smell energy. They don't need tech. They feel it. Then he'll find us. Yes, soon. They rushed back to the cabin. Evan locked the door and started packing supplies. Food, tools. First aid, anything. But Aya didn't move. She stood by the window, silent. He's not alone, she whispered. What? He brought drones. Evan opened the back door and stepped outside. That's when he heard it, a soft worry sound, high above. Something small flew across the sky, blinking red. Evan cursed. They're scanning. He ran inside. We can't stay here. Aya nodded. We go underground. Underground? Your basement. You said you had one. They moved quickly. The basement was small, dusty, and cold. Evan never used it. Much just a storage place. Now it would be their hideout. Evan placed blankets on the floor. Aya pulled out her wrist device again. No tech, Evan reminded her. Just one scan. She pressed a button. A hologram blinked softly, showing a red circle slowly moving toward their cabin. They're 1 kilometer away. Then she shut it off. An hour passed. They sat in silence, listening to every noise. A car engine, footsteps above. Then, knocking, someone was at the door. 3 knocks, pause. 3 more knocks. Evan held his breath. Then a voice called out, soft, friendly. Hello, I'm with the Forest Service. Just checking if anyone needs help after last night's storm. Aya's eyes went wide. She shook her head fast. That's not real. That voice, ... It's copied. They're using sound mimic. Evan stood frozen. He could hear the door creak open. They were inside the cabin. A few things fell to the floor above. Them, a chair. A mug. Aya leaned close and whispered, They're scanning heat. Stay still. Don't breathe loud then. Silence. Long, heavy silence. Evan's heart pounded in his chest. Finally. After what felt like forever, the footsteps left. The door closed. The car drove away. Or pretended to. I said nothing. But Evan knew. They weren't safe. Not yet. Later. That night, Aya showed him something new. A small metal chip hidden inside her coat. This chip can block my energy signature. It only works for 24 hours. I was saving it. But maybe we need it now. Evan looked at her. If we use it. What do we do next? Aya looked up. Then we find my escape pod. The transmitter might still work. If I can send one signal, someone from my side might find me. And what if the wrong ones find you first? Aya gave a small smile for the first time. Then, we don't run. We fight. Evan laughed, but there was no humor in it. I don't even know how to shoot. Then learn fast, Aya said, standing tall. Because the hunter has now become the hunted. Alien doesn't mean enemy. The basement was cold. The walls were stone. The light was dim. But it was the only place they could hide. Evan sat on the floor, staring at the glowing crystal Aya had given him. It pulsed gently in his hand, like a living heart. Not hot, not cold. Just alive. Across from him. Aya rested her back against the wall. Her eyes were half closed, but she wasn't asleep. She hadn't slept in 2 nights. You know, Evan said quietly, when I was a kid. I thought aliens would come in giant ships, shoot lasers, and steal cows. Aya looked at him. We don't eat cows. He smirked. That's good to know. A beat passed. I never thought, he continued, that one would be sitting in my basement. Bleeding, glowing blue stuff. Hiding from shape-shifting spies. Aya tilted her head. Is this humor? Evan nodded. Yeah, kind of. Aya blinked. You're bad at it. Evan laughed, just a little. It felt strange to laugh when they might die any minute. Aya reached into her jacket again. She pulled out another device, flat, like a small screen made of glass. It lit up softly. I want to show you something, she said. The screen displayed a memory, a projection, like a window into her world. A wide green valley, twin suns in the sky, floating plants, blue waterfalls running uphill, strange creatures, like deer, but glowing, children running, laughing. This was home, she said. Before the war, Evan's mouth fell open. It's amazing. Then the image changed. Fires, ash, black ships in the sky. Cities turned to rubble. People running, screaming. looked away. They came as allies first. They said they would help us grow. Share knowledge. Then they took control. Evan watched silently. My people didn't fight at first. We were scientists, explorers. We believed in peace. She looked down at her hands. I used to work in a research dome. I studied languages, cultures. I wanted to learn about other species, not destroy them. Evan was quiet. Then he asked gently, "So why are they after you?" Aya hesitated. Then she spoke. "I have knowledge they want hidden. Locations of rebel camps, safe planets, Kachin codes. I stole it before they erased the files." "Why?" Kavan asked. "Because someone has to stop them." Outside, a sudden wind howled through the trees. Evan stood up and looked through the small window near the ceiling. "No one there." "Not yet." He turned back to her. "You know," he said, "when you fell into my trap, I thought maybe I'd just caught some weird animal." Aya raised an eyebrow. "You screamed. You panicked. You thought I'd eat you." She sighed. "I still don't know if humans are safe." Evan sat back down. "We're not. Always. But some of us try to be." He paused. "You're not the enemy." Aya's eyes softened. "You're not either?" Later that night, Evan gave her one of his books, a children's picture book about earth animals. She read it slowly, speaking the words out loud. Elephant, tiger, octopus. She stopped. At the picture of a wolf. "What is this one?" she asked. "That's a wolf," Evan said. "Dangerous, strong, smart, but loyal to its pack." She touched the picture. "We had something like this. On my planet, they were protectors. They stayed with their families, even when danger came." She looked up at Evan. "You are like the wolf." Evan was surprised. "I thought you said I was bad at everything." Aya smiled. "Just a little. Bad at jokes, not bad at heart." Suddenly, a soft beeping came from her device. She grabbed it fast. "A scan pulse is coming," she said. "It's wide range, automated." "What does that mean?" Evan asked. "It means they don't care about hiding anymore." The screen showed a wave moving across the region, a digital sweep, looking for anything unnatural, any signal, any heat trace. They had hours, maybe less. Evan took a deep breath. "We can't keep hiding." Aya nodded. "Then we must find my escape pod. If the transmitter inside still works, we call for help." Evan finished. She stood, shaky but determined. "Tomorrow morning," she said. "We go." Evan looked at her. "You sure you can make it?" Aya looked back. "I didn't come this far to die in a basement." That night, as they lay on the floor, facing opposite walls, Evan whispered, "Hey, if you make it back home, what happens to Earth?" Aya didn't answer for a while. Then she said, "If I reach the rebels, maybe I can warn them. Maybe they'll listen. And if they don't," a pause, "then Earth will become like my planet." The silence after, that was louder than the wind. They're already here. The sun hadn't risen yet, but the sky was starting to glow pale blue. Evan stepped outside, shotgun in hand, eyes scanning the trees. The forest was quiet, too quiet again. Even the birds refused to sing. He waited. For a sign.ay came out behind him, wearing a gray hoodie and thick scarf, hiding her strange skin. She held the glowing crystal in her pocket and checked her wrist device. The scan waved past. She said, "They know I'm nearby." Evan looked at her. "Then we have to move fast." "Where's the escape pod?" Aya pointed northeast. 2 kilometers. It crashed near a river. "That's deep in the woods," Evan muttered. "No roads, no paths." Aya looked at him calmly. "Then we make one." They moved fast. Evan led the way, cutting branches, clearing the trail. Aya followed, her eyes always scanning the trees, listening for any movement. They passed broken rocks, old cabins, animal tracks, and something strange. A small metal disc, half buried in the ground. Evan picked it up. "What is this?" Aya's face went pale. "Tracker," she tossed it far into the trees. "They're marking search zones. That means they're closing in." When they finally reached the river, they saw it. Half buried in mud, covered in branches, was a crashed silver pod. Bent, damaged. One wing burned, but still glowing faintly. Aya ran to it. "It's still alive," she whispered. Evan stood back, watching the forest. Aya climbed inside and pulled out a black box. The transmitter. She pressed it. Nothing. She tapped it harder. Still nothing. "Power is gone," she said quietly. "I need energy, solar or bio. I have batteries too weak. It needs more." Evan thought for a moment, then pointed at the pod. "What about the ship's core?" Aya nodded slowly. "Dangerous, but possible." She opened a panel and pulled out a small round device, glowing bright green dot. Evan stepped back. "What is that?" "This is the heart of the ship. We only use it when we're ready to make noise." Evan looked nervous. "Noise? Big signal. Anyone out there will hear it, and not just the good guys," he said. Aya nodded. "Exactly." Suddenly, something cracked in the trees. A branch snapped. Evan raised his shotgun. Aya activated her wrist device. One heat source, moving fast. From the trees, a man stepped out, middle-aged, clean face. Suit and tie. He looked like a normal person. Too normal. "Hello," the man said. "I'm Agent Collins. You folks all right out here?" Evan narrowed his eyes. "You lost." The man smiled. "Just following a call. Someone said they saw something crash out here." Aya whispered to Evan, "He's not real. He's a mimic." The man's smile dropped. "You're right," he said in a flat voice. "But I'm better at pretending than you are at hiding." His face began to shift, skin stretching, bones bending. Evan fired the shotgun. The mimic flew backward, hitting a tree. Aya shouted, "Now, we have 10 seconds." She placed the ship's core into the transmitter and slammed it shut. It lit up. A beam of white light shot into the sky. Too bright. Too loud. The trees shook. Evan covered his ears. Aya stood firm, staring up at the light. The mimic stood again, bleeding. But alive, it hissed and ran. Not toward them, but away. "Where's it going?" Evan asked. Aya's face darkened. "To report. And to bring others." The signal faded. The beam disappeared. The forest went still again. Aya looked down at the transmitter. "It worked. Someone will hear it." Evan asked. "But who?" She didn't answer. That night they returned to the cabin. They were both exhausted. Evan sat on the couch. Aya stood by the fire, watching it burn low. Then, King. 3 knocks. Just like before. Evan froze. Aya whispered. Same pattern. Evan moved to the window and peeked out. But this time, he recognized the face. Mr. Whitaker. Evan blinked. It was the old man from the local town store. Gray hair, glasses, always smiling. "Hello, Evan," he said calmly. "I saw some lights in the sky. Thought I'd check in." Aya grabbed Evan's arm. "That's not him." Evan looked again. Whitaker's eyes flashed silver for a second, just like the Seeker. They didn't open the door, but the man didn't leave. He simply said, "They're already here, Evan, and they've been here 4 years." Then he turned and walked into the trees. Aya looked shaken. "They've built a network here," she said. "They've taken forms. They've blended in. That's why no one sees them. Evan sat down slowly. How long? Aya replied, long enough to plan, long enough to attack. He looked at the floor, then back at her. Then what happens next? Aya stared at the window. Her voice was quiet. Cold War. The choice the cabin felt smaller than ever. Evan sat at the kitchen table, his fingers tapping nervously. The silence between him and Aya was thick, heavy, and full of fear. Outside, the wind was picking up. The trees swayed like they were warning them. Something was coming. Everyone could feel it, even the forest. Aya stared at the wall. She had barely said a word since Mr. Whitaker, or the thing wearing his face, walked away. Evan finally broke the silence. We can't wait anymore. Aya didn't look at him. I know. He stood up, walked over to the shelf, and pulled out a small radio. Maybe we call someone. The police? The news? Something. Aya shook her head. They won't believe you. They don't have to believe me, he said. They just have to show up. Aya looked at him now. And then what? You hand me over. Watch them get taken. 2. The enemy is already inside, wearing human faces, watching. Evan turned off the radio. She was right. He took a deep breath. There has to be something we can do. Aya reached into her jacket and pulled out the glowing transmitter crystal again. It had dimmed a little, but still pulsed softly. There is. Evan watched her place it on the table. I can activate the full signal. What does that mean? It will reach deep space. Past the scanners, past the blocks. My people will hear it. The rebels, the ones still fighting. Evan's eyes lit up. That's good. That's what we want. Aya didn't smile. If I send the full signal, it's like a flare in the dark. Anyone can see it. Them too. Evan looked at her. So it's a beacon. For help, but also a target. She nodded. The second I press it, they will come. All of them. A silence passed. Then she added, if you stay with me after that, you won't be safe again. Evan stepped outside. The cold air hit his face like a slap. He walked to the edge of the woods, looked at the sky, and whispered, why me? He wasn't a hero. He wasn't a fighter. He was just a guy who lived in the forest, away from people, away from trouble. And yet, here he was, protecting someone not even from this world. He closed his eyes. In his mind, he saw her, injured, scared, falling from the stars into his trap. Not a soldier. Not a killer. Just someone who wanted to go home. He turned around. He had made his choice. Back inside, Aya was holding the crystal in both hands. I can do it alone, she said softly. You don't have to. I'm staying. Evan cut her off. They're coming. They'll have to come through me. She looked at him. Her voice was a whisper now. You could die. Evan nodded. Maybe, but I'm not running. Aya stared into his eyes. For the first time, she looked unsure. Not of herself, but of the world. No one ever chose to stay before. Well, Evan said, picking up his shotgun. Maybe I'm just bad at goodbyes. They prepared quickly. Aya placed the transmitter on a metal plate in the center of the room. She connected her wrist device, entered codes in a soft blue light, and stood back. Once I press this, she warned, we'll have 10 minutes, maybe less. Evan walked over to the front door. He placed traps, reloaded his weapon, and looked back at her. Then let's make those minutes count. Aya pressed the final key. The crystal lit up, not white, but deep gold. Like the sun rising inside the house, a low hum filled the room. Somewhere far away, the sky shifted. Invisible ears had heard the sound, and some began to move toward it. 8 minutes left. Aya stood by the window. Her hand shook just slightly. Evan checked the back door. Double quotes. Do you think your people will come in time? If they're close, if they're still listening, then yes. And if they're not, Aya looked at him, calm now. Then we go out with fire. 3 minutes left. The trees outside began to bend. But there was no wind. It was something else. A force. A pressure. They were close. 1 minute. A bright blue beam shot into the sky from the transmitter. AY, I gasped. That's the return ping. Evan looked at her. You mean? Someone answered. Just then, the front door shook hard. A loud voice echoed from the other side. Surrender the unit. Surrender the traitor. Evan pointed his shotgun at the door. A YA stood tall, holding the device in her hand. I'm not yours anymore. A second crash. The door cracked. A bright light appeared outside from the sky. A ship, not theirs. A YA smiled. They came. Evan aimed his weapon. A YA raised her hand. The door burst open, and this time, fought back. Not like that. The cabin exploded with light. White, blue, gold. Evan hit the ground, covering his head. Dust rained from the ceiling. Wood cracked. Walls trembled. AYA stood still in the center of the room, calm inside the chaos. The golden transmitter pulsed like a heartbeat, sending out wave after wave. Outside, the ship hovered, smooth, silver, glowing with energy. It made no sound, but Evan felt it in his bones. He looked up. 2 figures stepped out from the ship, tall, armored, faces hidden behind glass. Not enemies, not shapeshifters. These were hers. Aya's people. One of them spoke in a voice that echoed without sound. Subject secured. Prepare for extraction. Evan stood slowly. Wait, what does that mean? Aya looked at him. They want to take me. Off-world, the second soldier added. He must be scanned. He has been exposed. Aya stepped forward. No, he helped me. He saved me. That is not our concern. Evan raised his hands. I'm not trying to stop you. What happens to Earth? The first soldier paused. We report the infestation. Protocol 9 may be activated. Evan frowned. What's Protocol 9? Aya looked at him and didn't speak, but her silence said everything. Protocol 9 meant destruction. A purge? No, Evan said. There are good people here. Not everyone is bad. We didn't ask for this. Aya turned to her people. He's right. You are not in command, they replied. You are a fugitive. This planet is compromised. Aya stared at them then. Slowly pulled the glowing transmitter from the table and crushed it in her hand. The light went out. Dead silence. The soldiers turned sharply. You have interfered. I'm not letting you erase a world, Aya, said. Evan stepped beside her. Then what now? Suddenly, the front yard shimmered. A second ship uncloaked, larger, darker. The enemy, from it, they came. The SHAPE, tall, pale, expressionless. More than before. The soldiers turned to face them. Weapons out. Aya grabbed Evan's hand. Run. But he didn't move. I'm done running, he said. The ground shook. The war had come to them. The battle was fast and bright. Light against shadow. Energy pulses, screams, cracking trees. Evan ducked behind the cabin, firing his shotgun at anything that moved wrong. Aya fought beside her people, but not with weapons. She used her tech, creating shields, stunning pulses, disabling the enemy's signals. She was not a soldier. But she wasn't helpless either, after what felt like hours. It was over. The dark ship was gone. Bodies faded into dust. Only silence remained. Aya limped back to Evan. He was covered in dirt, his jacket torn, a bruise on his face. You okay? She asked, breathless. He nodded. You? I've been worse. They sat on the porch, side by side. The silver ship waited silently behind them. One of the soldiers approached again. We received new orders. The purge is paused. Observation. We'll continue. Evan sighed in relief. AYA asked, and him. He has seen too much. He must be taken for processing. Evan stood. Processing. Aya turned sharply. No, I won't let that happen. Then bring him voluntarily. Or we take him ourselves. Evan looked at Aya. Her face showed more fear now than it ever had. Hey, he said gently. Maybe it's not so bad. I mean, space isn't worse than Earth, right? Aya's voice broke. You don't belong out there. Evan smiled. Maybe not. But I don't belong here anymore either. She held his hand for a long time. She said nothing. Then she whispered, When I first saw you, I thought you would eat me. Evan laughed softly. Not like that. She looked at him, eyes soft. No, not like that. He stepped toward the ship. Aya followed as they entered the glowing ramp. The forest behind them disappeared into morning mist. No one would ever know what happened there, but the Earth was still standing. Because one man made a choice. 1 week later, in deep space, Seven stared out the window of the ship. Stars passed like falling snow. Endless beautiful. Aya stood beside him, holding a new map, one filled with rebel symbols, safe zones, warnings. Where are we going? He asked. She smiled. Somewhere you've never been. Evan grinned. I've already done that once. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Earth disappeared behind them. But something new began. Not war, not fear, but a strange friendship born from a trap, and a girl who thought she'd be eaten. A tea, but not like that.